Hey, this is Test Chamber, everyone. I'm Andrew Reiner, and I got Matthew Kato here today.
Hey, guys.
We're taking a look at Gran Turismo 6 from Sony and Polyphony, and this came out last Tuesday. Kato, you're still playing it?
Yeah. I took it home and started all over after my review, doing the license tests and all the usual Gran Turismo sort of rigmarole to go to 0 to 60, so to speak.
And what view is this? I'm always confused by the views. This is the nose cone view, or is this the...
I think this is technically on the hood of the car, and it's
and then the
looking
nose
down.
Cone is on the front of the car, then?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I usually like to race in this. Sometimes I like to race in cockpit for a little bit of a challenge, but this is kind of my default. So, sometimes the actual, the front bumper one gets me a little bit of sickness, but this is a good view to race in.
And this is on PlayStation 3. Forza just came out on Xbox One. Kind of the two big simulation games kind of hitting back-to-back, which is pretty cool. What do you think of this one, Kato?
Compared to Forza in particular, it doesn't stack up, naturally in the graphics department. And, the Xbox One has those really nice trigger rumbles, which is something for racing I really like. And this is, sort of a callback to the Gran Turismo we all, whether you know it, you like it or you hate it. It is that I mentioned the license tests. Those are still in here. And they've also, it's got the whole, you start out with kind of a crappy car and go forward. One of the things I think they've done, really good in last year's, and it's carried in this year, is that, yes, you start out on a bad car at first, but I really don't think it takes you that long to get into a pretty decent car.
So you're making money at a pretty good clip, or is it just the progression, they give you a nice car?
It's more so the way the races open up. Actually, I own fewer cars in this game than I have in previous, Gran Turismos. So I think, if I'm in the middle of the game, I'm really only owning 2 or 3 cars. And so that is not as cool, because I don't know about you, but I like to own a decent amount of cars, even if, let's say I'm only using one for one thing or whatever. But I think it does give you a decent amount of cash to get some cars. Maybe you could buy some, not as many higher end cars as I did. You could maybe spread it around, but it's just kind of the events that are open to you, and the way that with the side challenges and just some of the different things you can do, you don't feel as forced into certain directions. That being said, like I said, I did own fewer cars.
And then, Kato, you could just say yes or no on this, but the Gran Turismo, I know, I'll just kind of list some things. Obviously, you have the street racing like this here, kind of the basis of this whole series. Is there rally again?
There are some dirt challenges. I guess I wouldn't call them rally in the traditional sense, but they're dirt races. There's certainly rally cars, your Subarus and Fords and stuff like that. But it's not as built out of an kind of an area of the game as it even was in GT5.
Okay. And then when I think Gran Turismo, it's giant garages, hundreds of cars. Is that still the case, or are you saying there maybe it's fewer since you're getting less?
I'm owning less, but there actually are way more cars in. And just to sort of, full disclosure, this game does have microtransactions. I personally don't think they're that, they're not shoved in your face, and I don't think they're 100% necessary to progress in the game. But what I think that it is that in conjunction with the car numbers, yes, there are a lot of cars, but it's a lot of cars that maybe, you'd be tempted to buy just because you like them or because you think it'd be cool to drive them, and so maybe you would spend money in that sense. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily tied to your progression in the game, where you have to have this certain car, and to do so you have to spend money. I think it's more the inflation in the number of cars is more just there for you to enjoy the ones that you want to enjoy, and maybe spend money on the ones you want to buy.
And then they also have kind of a light side. Every once in a while they'll give you weird vehicles. Is there anything like that they're doing in this one?
Yeah, there is one, and we'll take a look at it here in a little bit. It truly is sort of an out-of-this-world vehicle, so to speak. It's kind of a bad joke.
Don't spoil the surprise, but
it is, yeah. It
anything else go-karts or motorcycles or...
The go-karts do return, and they have their own races. There's some really tight tracks. There's certainly a lot of your domestic vehicles, the ones that, maybe you and I kind of drive. And there is a lot of custom cars. I know that there's some specially built cars in here. There's some pretty high-end race cars, and those, again, kind of referring to what I was saying about the microtransactions. Maybe those ones that you don't need to progress in the game, but you might just want to own because they're kind of cool.
And then the last point I'll make is I think it was Gran Turismo 3. I became obsessed with it and played it all the way through those 100-lap races, or those races that just take an hour plus. They still have those in here?
I don't think they have any that are an hour, but they do have some endurance races. They have sort of a Le Mans 24-hour that's replicated into 24 minutes. And they've got
cool.
they got a couple circuits that are like, half an hour races. Those as you get towards the end. So you'll start out and sort of your racing field will probably be about 4 cars, 2 laps. But then as you get going, then you'll really get like the full 16 car fields, and it'll be, a crazy half an hour race. And again, there's no rewinds in Gran Turismo, which is one of the things that, as much as I like that feature in like Forza and stuff, I kind of do appreciate that sort of no holds barred. You're doing a 20-minute race, and there's no rewind to save you. I mean, if you screw up in the last lap, that's just your problem,
Nice move right there.
There you go.
And any kind of vehicle customization outside of like, I guess, go into vehicle customization. Is it just decals, or are you doing the whole 9 yards?
No, it's not as extensive as Forza, for instance. It's like similar to GT5. It's like paint chips. It's doing some of the wheel wells and things like that. Ooh,
oh,
whoa!
No.
That guy just got more horses than I do. I'll have to beat him on all the corners here, I guess. Whoa.
No.
Hot on that one.
Ooh.
Hey!
Nice. Tire physics?
Speaking of which, the damage to my car in an event like that wasn't a very hard hit, but one thing you will notice, which I think is kind of a negative for the game, is that damage is there, but it's really not an integral part of the game. Forza 1, I think, does a really good job of balancing damage where it's not only cosmetic, but it will be detrimental to your car, but not even, let's say, in a really bad way, but just enough to kind of remind you of it. This has it, and you can pay to have, repairs to your car, but it's pretty light, and it's not really something you got to think about, even when you're slamming into cars, or in that case, a whole bunch of tires.
He's doing a pretty good job of blocking you. The AI pretty good in this?
It can be like
this guy.
Yeah, he will cut you off and stuff. I do find it is kind of like the old GTs where it's a lot in packs, where like, it's a 10-car field. The first 2 or 3 might be real cupcake on the first turn. But then those top 2 guys will really just kind of break away from the pack and take off on you. So it's a little predictable in that sense, but they'll have some behavior that's pretty good.
He was bumping you pretty good. Is there a name for the hitting the quarter panel to send this guy flying?
That's, I think, when you get foobarred and you get sideways. If someone gets to your quarter panel, then you've pretty much done.
Yeah, but is there a name for it? Like if I wanted you to get revenge and hit it?
Yeah, I think that's. I don't think we can say some of that stuff on the radio, but
okay.
On the podcast here. But one thing you may have noticed here is, as you can see on the left-hand turner, he's coming up on the left-hand side. He's coming up on me pretty good. They are on-screen indicators to show when someone's in your blind spot, so to speak, and it'll be like a little red arrow will start blinking. And if he catches up to me with his horsepower,
do you have your magical just look behind you button, or is that not in this?
It is. Yeah, see there on the right-hand side there with a little red flashing. That means he's coming on you. So that's just a small little touch for
that
this.
That was a hell of a victory.
Oh, thank you.
It got really exciting at the end.
Yeah, that guy obviously had the horsepower on me, but I was able to gain some speed in the corners.
A jerk.
Yeah, but hey, I probably deserved it.
Look at these guys, these slow pokes.
No, they're still running.
Oh, come on, guys.
That was, again, as I mentioned with the AI, you're going to be mixed with all kinds of cars, and there's some in there that if you pick your car that has, definitely more horsepower, you're just going to smoke, half the field. Yeah, and again, not having the rewind is kind of cool in the sense that it does make you try to be more consistent, but there are just cars you're going to beat.
Retire, Pullard. You're through. You're awful.
Yeah.
So it looks like 16 players. Can you do 16 player online or 16 cars in the heat or whatever you call it?
Yes. You can set a minimum also, or I think even a maximum of cars for online. So if you just want a nice discrete 4-car race, you can do that, but you can go up to 16.
And take a look at one more race and then the surprise maybe?
Sure. I'll get out of here. Let me just go and just do a quick thing of the career mode here real quick.
Yeah, why don't we do that and then do the surprise? We don't need to... People get the racing, I think.
Yeah. So for the credits, it looks like I have 100 in there, and that'll get you a decent amount of cars. There are a lot of good cars you can get for relatively cheap. The car I was racing there, which is a touring car, I think I got for like 40,000. And so we back out here again. It's into the familiar license types, the international,
Right.
and you get the different series. The stars that you see, you get those, and as you see, it says stars acquired in the upper right-hand corner. In this particular International B Series, I can get 141. I've got 20, obviously. And these just gate off, like these mission races, this coffee break challenge. These are kind of interesting. Like this one in particular, this cone challenge here, you just got to knock over a bunch of cones in a certain amount of time. Or some of these might be, you know, like I said, best lap times, the light fuel load. Just as the name denotes, just little easy things.
Are the license challenges very similar to the old ones, like stop within this zone and accelerate through this turn at this speed or whatever?
Yeah, trying to, you know, show
medals or whatever.
Yeah, teach you how to, you know, do an apex and stuff. And, you know, these are clearly built around, you know, Corvettes and certain kinds of cars. And a lot of times, too, sometimes you can rent a car, so to speak, for free to race those. And sometimes you actually have to own the car. So, you know, with that, there are enough things to do. I'll just kind of scroll through the dealership here real quick and show you. So if we go to some, let's say your Honda here, you know, a lot of normal cars, some classic ones. And as we scroll up here, you know, there's plenty nice car. Here's a touring car for obviously a fair amount of credits, but
this is all Honda?
These are all Hondas, yeah. I mean, something like this, you know, 75. I think that's the car that I have. Yeah, I guess 75, a little bit more than I thought, but obviously they get up there quite a bit. So it's like, you know...
Oh, one more. You're just okay. Yeah, okay.
You know, sure, if you want to own these cars, you could grind a lot in the game to get this many credits. And as you can see, I have 100, so it's not out of reach, but I think a lot of people are going to be very tempted to spend real money just to get these cars.
A pretty nice selection of tracks. I know Forza's getting kind of dinged just from, what is it, 14 tracks or whatever?
Yeah, you know, I don't think that...
Wow, look at all these guys. Sorry.
No, I don't think that, you know, Gran Turismo has like an extraordinary amount of tracks. I think what they do is they take a lot of the tracks and they run different circuits, you know, through them. So you'd be on the same track, but it'll just be a little different route and stuff. That being said, I think it has the most tracks and circuits that Gran Turismo has ever had. So that's good.
They don't have Jeep. I don't think I see any
Let's
Jeeps.
See here. I don't know if they're under the American made here.
I don't think they have Jeeps.
I don't think so, yeah. And one of the things I want to point out here is if you notice under the credit score, it says PP. There's 408, 435. This was used in GT5 Online to denote sort of power and performance. Huh. And these are used for the races as well. So as I was showing you in the races here, not only do you have to open these up by getting enough stars, but once you get into these races, as you can see, entry requirements PP 540 or less. The one thing I would say is don't be fooled by that, because there's lots of times I could probably race this, and I'm not bragging that I'm a great driver, because I'm really not, but I could probably race this with like this car that has 489 and probably do pretty well. So even when you see the PP requirement, don't be scared off, because again, while you might not own a lot of cars, you can race a fair amount of races with a few cars.
All right, and let's go take a look at the surprise now.
So one of the things you may have heard about here, and this is not a trick, these special events, these will open up fairly early when you're playing in your career. You've got Lunar Exploration, and this looks like, yeah, Apollo 15. You don't get, I was hoping when they showed this video you would actually get to land the lunar lander and like drive off a ramp or something, but you don't. Unfortunately, it just sort of starts with you with the buggy. But that would have been awesome if they did an old like lunar lander thing and you get to land or crash land as it were. And these are the same. They offer replays, and you do them for trophies and stuff. But it's just
how did this ever get greenlit and put in the game? I would have loved to have been in that meeting. I would have said yes, let's do it. But
I guess when you're Kazunori Yamauchi, I guess when you've done all the cars there are.
Well, they haven't done Jeep yet.
I guess not. When you've done most of the cars here on Earth, I guess there's only one place left to go. Yeah, and I tried just exploring, and it doesn't let you do it. See, there are those over on the right. There are those little track barriers. Because I think of course, like most gamers, the first thing you do is you turn around and go the opposite way, just to see what happens. Whoa, man, look at that! That's all just flying into space, just
littering.
Yeah,
that's never coming down. Well, I guess in Gran Turismo 7 they can maybe get the Flintstone cars. The ones you got to run with to get them going. This is insane.
Yeah, you want to definitely avoid these boulders. These things will send you head over tails, as we've already seen. And it's just, 3 missions, varying lengths, and you just kind of go with it. Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, it just
Rebooted.
automatically rebooted.
You ever see Moon, Kato?
I did. I love Moon, yeah.
Let's not talk about it, but let's tell people you should see Moon if you have not watched it. And don't read about it. Don't read anything about it.
Yeah.
Just rent it.
You're going to like it.
And then let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, you're really going to like it. It's
Actually,
great.
just do that now. As soon as this video's done. And then watch Moon.
Yeah, who knows what, when you're out exploring on the moon, who knows what you'll find. You never know. So yeah, this is...
Is there just this one weird American vehicle, or do they have other ones?
No, it's just the Lunar, the Lunar buggy, and it's in the same sort of site. I can't remember. It's a certain kind of highlands that they went to in this particular mission. And then, crossing the finish line, so to speak, is just a bunch of markers, and you just cross them, and they give you time, and...
Is this open from the outset, or is it just something you unlock?
You unlock it. I think you unlock it, I want to say, with something like, maybe the second license, after the second license test. So it doesn't take you long to get here. See in the distance there, you can see those kind of cones. We'll just go by those to win the race.
And then for all the scientists that watch Test Chamber, would you hear sound out here? Would you hear that gravelly sound?
You wouldn't.
I don't think you would,
You
right?
wouldn't,
Well, I don't
no.
know.
I mean, there's
got to be some kind of gravity here, right? A little?
I don't think you have enough.
Because you can kind of bounce along the surface.
But I don't think there's enough of an atmosphere to actually generate, it's vibration, right? And then from there, we're getting into a little murky territory here.
We'll let the scientists.
But I'm gonna say no. My bet is no.
So we want 2 things from you in the comments. We want to know what you think of Moon after you watch it, or if you have watched it, spoiler free, obviously. And then, the scientists out there, let us know if we can actually hear gravel sounds.
So none of the comments are actually about racing or Gran Turismo. They're about the moon. So that's cool.
All right. Well, I think I kind of want to see Kato get to the end here, but
oh man,
we got a long ways to go.
I'm gonna see if I must speed it can muster and see if I can launch it off of this thing.
Yeah.
All right, man. NASA built.
All right. Well, let's end that here. Yeah, look at
there we go.
Trophy for that.
Sweet. Some serious
the end?
air. Yeah. These cones are not on the moon, by the way.
These guys aren't doing science. They're just setting up racetracks.
There we go. Silver.
All right. Well, nicely done, Kato. Again, this is Game Informer's Test Chamber. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode.